Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom to Chiefs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers, and I have another action-packed episode for you today. But before we dive into our 4 topics, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn on those notifications. That way you're not missing any news or rumors regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. As mentioned, 4 great topics to dive into, so let's go ahead and start by looking at this year's upcoming running back room, and more specifically, who's going to fill that third spot on the depth chart. Now, you might be asking yourself, Calvin, why are you so worried that far down the depth chart? We just really need to rely on our ones and twos. I totally understand that, but when you're looking at your ones and twos, there's some questions and concerns that you need to look at. When you look at Isaiah Pacheco, great running back, goes 110%, puts his head down, gets those yards, but he's injury prone. Then you look at Kareem Hunt, who is a reliable back, but he's going to be 30 years old here soon. So you need just some fresh legs in that backfield. So what are the Chiefs doing then in OTAs? Well, they've got a battle right now for that third spot on the depth chart. They're seeing their 7th-round running back pick, Brashard Smith. He's battling Elijah Mitchell right now, and I got to go in all on the rookie. I understand you have OTAs, you have training camp, and you have preseason. But right now, I would be throwing in your rookie at that third spot and getting as many reps as he can there. And he's just been really impressive so far in OTAs, especially with not only Mahomes, but the media members have been impressed during his 7-on-7 drills. He's been able to catch a lot of balls out of the backfield. He's just been looking really good. Now, Mitchell has also been able to make multiple catches, but just the way Smith looks out of the backfield, it's something to see. When looking at Smith at SMU, 1,332 total yards. That's 5.7 yards an attempt. That's amazing. 14 rushing touchdowns, 4 receiving touchdowns, and here's the big thing, no major college injuries, especially when you have someone injury prone like Pacheco. It's good to have someone you can rely on a little bit more. And not only that, we're seeing Mitchell struggle here lately. In 2023, 6 catches, 14 yards. 2024, 3.7 yards a carry. He's missed 18 games from 2022 to 24. That's not a piece that you want to have to rely on, especially when Pacheco is likely to miss games just because of his injury history. As I mentioned, his 6 catches for 14 yards, that's not going to get it done with the Chiefs, especially with Andy Reid and how he likes to use his running backs. And Smith also brings a different edge in that he's reliable on special teams, and they've been using him special teams right now during OTA. So that's also something else that he brings that you're not going to see with Mitchell. So as I mentioned, you have a room with Pacheco, who missed 10 games, 310 yards, and had a touchdown. You have Hunt, who had 728 yards, 7 touchdowns. As I mentioned, reliable enough, but turns 30. So I just think Smith's fresh legs, they're a must, especially in the AFC West when you have some defenders that are really good defending out of the backfield. Derwin James, Jack Jones, just a couple names to throw out there. You want Smith, who's going to be able to beat them with his speed. I just think he's a dynamic running back, and just his pass catching abilities is above what Mitchell can bring for you. So if you're feeling like these are going to be 2 redundant roles, then I would go with Smith. Not only does he bring you something with special teams, the fresh legs, no concerns when it comes to injuries. And as I mentioned, just with Andy Reid, his wheel routes, his play action to running backs, Smith just fits that perfectly. And speaking of the offense, let's go ahead and transition to how can Mahomes get back to that MVP form? Is it going to rely more on his O-line, or is it going to rely more on his wide receivers? And I have to go this season, the O-line needs to step up more than the wide receivers. I'm not as worried about the wide receivers this year as compared to previous seasons. And when you're looking at the O-line, especially last year, they struggled. They allowed 44 sacks, 5 different left tackles across Mahomes' 5 Super Bowl runs as well. So there has not been consistency there at the left tackle position for Mahomes. When you're looking at the Super Bowls, the times that they lost, it wasn't because of the receivers, it was because of the O-line. So if the Chiefs want to get back to the Super Bowl and win it, well, their kryptonite has been their offensive line. When they went against Tampa, Mahomes was sacked 3 times, 29 pressure. That's a 52% pressure rate. In last year's Super Bowl, he was sacked 6 times. That was a career high, and 17 pressures. So how do you fix that? Well, you brought in Josh Simmons, your first round pick. He's taken full team drill reps right now, which is huge. As I mentioned, I think one of the hardest things to do is step in as a rookie lineman and be productive. Obviously, quarterback would be harder to do learning that playbook, but I think it's one of the hardest positions is to be plugged in. So the fact that he's getting full team reps, he's ahead of rehab, no knee brace, it's important. Kingsley Suamataia, he's being comfortable at left guard right now, according to his own words. So you have a lot of line changes. Joe Tooney was traded. You bring in Jalen Moore for left tackle. Suamataia shifts to left guard now. Trey Smith is tagged, and you have the best center in football. I think this O-line can help Mahomes get back to that MVP form. And as I mentioned, yes, Simmons, a rookie, but his upside is fantastic. 6'5", 310 pounds, 92.1 PFF pass block grade in college, and he's ahead of rehab. What do you not like about that? Suamataia, he's growing. He struggled at left tackle. We saw that, but he's now thriving in OTAs at that guard position. And then he'll have to go against Chris Jones during practice reps. That's just good practice. Nothing wrong with that. And you need a good O-line when you're looking at, once again, the AFC West because they have some great defenses. And not only that, the Chargers, 48 sacks last season. Raiders, 50 sacks last season. So those teams bring the heat. So you might be asking, Calvin, why not the receivers? Why do the O-linemen need to be, need to step up more? Well, I've seen Mahomes win with receivers like MBS and Juju. So I'm not really too worried there because I like the wide receiver room as long as everyone can stay healthy. All right. Well, we've been talking a lot about the offense, so let's go ahead and talk about the defense, and more specifically, this defensive line. Are they going to be dominant, or are they a little overhyped? Well, I don't think you can be overhyped when you have Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, because I think anything is possible, especially with those two upset with how, their season ended last year and the whole team is, but that just lights another fire. But last season, the D-line had 39 sacks. That was down from 57 in 2023, 55 in 2022. So this team is, and not only this team, but this D-line is known to sack the quarterback. You lost that last year. Now, Karlaftis, he led with 8 sacks, 61 pressures. That led the team. You love to see that from him. And Chris Jones, though, he's the one that took a step back, but then again, he faces double, triple teams. 28% of the time, he's double teamed last season. So you have to get others involved to take off pressure. Well, how do you do that? Well, you drafted Omar Norman Lott, 13.5 college sacks. You also drafted Ashton Gelati, 26.5 college sacks. So you're going to hopefully have those two be able to be plugged in and take off some pressure of Chris Jones. But Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he needs to step up. 2.5 sacks in 2024 raised concerns. I need to see something if he can get in. Now, obviously, don't throw him in if he's not ready, but I need to see something more out of him. I'm starting to think he might be a bust, and I just don't want to say that about him. But as I mentioned, if Karlaftis and Jones can get back to what we know, especially Jones, because he's getting paid $29 million. He's had 32.5 sacks since 2022. Karlaftis is always stepping up. It's nearly unstoppable, this defensive line is. So the rookies, as mentioned, can just help in big ways. When you're looking at Spags, 4-man rush to avoid blitzes, 28% blitz rate. So you need Norman Lott's relentless interior and Gelati's versatility. And also, you face Burrow, Herbert, and Nix. You're going to want to cause some disruption there because those are all pretty good quarterbacks. And I say pretty good because, we need to see something from Nix. Obviously, I want to see something more from Herbert, but everyone is pretty solid there in the AFC West. And last but not least, just a little fun topic because I want to, laugh a little bit about the Bengals drama. And I think the AFC just sighs in relief here because Cincinnati could be really good, but they always are in a mess. Their front office can never figure it out, and I'm referring to Shamar Stewart's holdout. He's holding out right now. We're drama-free over here with the Chiefs. And like I said, Bills and Ravens, they probably dodge a bullet here too because this team could be good if they could just figure it out and not have all these distractions go on. I mean, yes, they missed the playoffs last season, but Burrow stepped up, 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns. It was their defense that let him down. They allowed 25.5 points a game. As I mentioned, Stewart's holding out first round DN. He skips minicamp over the contract clause. So there's that all going on. Not only that, the Bengals have the smallest front office. There's stories that they had to use used jock straps. They've had no drinks or Gatorade at practices. And, the Chiefs over here, Reed says everything is positive. So I just love that us Chiefs don't have to deal with the drama. The most drama we see maybe is something with, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. But other than that, we're drama free over here. And when you look at Burrow and even what Jamar Chase could bring, they're threats. They're threats of healthy. Now, Stewart, yeah, he only had 4.5 college sacks, but it's raw talent. He just needs the reps. You add Stewart, Demetrius Knight, new defensive coordinator. You don't want to have people hold out. You don't want to have this drama going on, especially with new faces trying to get new schemes. It's just a lot of drama going on. So, like I said, it's just nice over here being Chiefs fans. Beat them the past 3 times. You get a new O-line revamped. Everyone's feeling good in OTAs. Vibes are positive. I just love it. I love it. No drama over here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, that was this episode for Chiefs Latest. Go ahead and leave in the comments what you think about the 4 topics, who you want to see at the RB3 position, who you think needs to step up more, the O-line or the receivers, what you think about this defensive line coming up. And go ahead and give me your thoughts about the Bengals drama because I can't help but to laugh a little bit. As mentioned, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and until next time, I'm your host, Calvin Silvers.